Hello and welcome to the Mr. 50mm YouTube channel. I'm invisible today. You can't see me. That's because I'm holding my Stealth Street combo right here. Now, that of course isn't true if you can't see me, which, well, if you can, here I am. In today's video, I'm going to talk about what I think is my favorite street shooting combo. It's good for getting close and getting low. Now, you might have also noticed that this is shot on my GH4, and that's because this combo consists of the Sony A7 III right over here, which is what I normally use to shoot these videos. And, I did put that in the title, so maybe you figured it out beforehand, but the street combo in question is my A7 III with my Voightlander 21mm f4. And I think it is super stealthy. So let's get into it. Why the A7 III? Well, that's because I don't currently own any Leica digital cameras. I used to have an M8, but I sold that in 2011, so 13 years ago. And since that time, hindsight has not been kind to me. However, I do actually have a Leica M3 single stroke, but I don't really like burning film on shots that either may be awesome or 1000% missed, so I don't shoot that often. Now, the A7 has a full frame sensor, which means that on my Voightlander 21mm, I get the full 21mm. And I find that focal length, despite being a bit wide, is an excellent thing. There's a lot of space to compose. Most importantly, the A7 III is a mirrorless camera. And since it's a Sony, it's the definition of an unknown black box. Nobody cares if you're shooting with a Sony. Nobody even really looks at it. Now, if you're carrying around a digital SLR, people still associate that with nosy, in-your-face photography, and they'll seek to either dodge the lens or straight up get aggressive. Now, we're going to go on a bit of a tangent. It's going to be story time. So in about 2016 or so, I'd yet to have made the switch to mirrorless cameras. I'd actually yet to move away from a 5D Mark II, and I was in Toronto visiting. I had my 5D Mark II with my 50mm f1.2, big lens with a red ring, so not super stealthy, not the smallest combo. I was just shooting random things in Toronto. I wasn't necessarily going across doing a lot of street photography. I wasn't really aiming it at people. But that being said, I realized that this kit is large and people do notice. Now, this was a phase in my photography when I was kind of just in the maximum malaise. I was shooting just because I felt like I needed to get some use out of the camera. I wasn't having that much fun. I just knew that's what I liked in the past, so I always just had the camera on me. Anyways, enough about that weird existentialness. I was out walking down Yonge Street, and, shooting pictures as you are to do. And I'm just trying to see what things look like through the finder. Something catches my eye. Now, I was just walking around, kind of just like this, having a look, seeing what's ahead of me. Now, I wasn't really paying attention, and I heard someone basically yell. So, took my eyes off my camera, and that's when I found there was a woman to my left who was straight up winding up to toss a shopping cart at me. Luckily, the attack was surprisingly slow, kind of like a video game QuickTime attack. So, kind of did 2 side steps in the opposite direction, and the lady missed. So, she shuffled around and tried to hit me again with said shopping cart. And, again, she misses. At this point, there's some distance between us, and she turns around, says a couple profanities, walks away. Now, I then turned to the person who yelled and gave me the heads up and said thanks. And they asked, what was that about? And I assumed it was my camera, so I pointed to my Canon camera, and they were like, "Oh, I see." And we went about on our way. So neat experience. Probably the most aggressive that I've seen in a while, but you get the point. Some people really don't like the sight of a big camera. Back to the A7 III. It's small, its shutter isn't super loud, and if you enable the E-shutter, it's silent. High ISO is pretty great, and lastly, with the M-mount adapter, you might notice this thing is a fairly compact total kit. So overall, pretty nice package. And 24 megapixels, it's good enough. It's got a reasonably good burst rate and a pretty nice EVF. And additionally, you have a tilty screen that does this. So excellent for composition for when you want to do like hip shooting. So overall, I find that the A7 III is the perfect invisible camera. Why the Voightlander 21 f4? I know 21 is wide, f4 sounds slow, and it is wide. It's a tiny bit slow, but this lens, it's not that expensive. It's overall pretty sharp. Corners get a bit dicey full frame, but that's alright. It's very tiny, a nice small pancake lens, and this is with the hood on. Ergonomics are quite good. You got a very nice clicky aperture ring and comfortable focus throw with a place to put your finger. All that combines means that with the A7 III, the tiny pancake, again, it's a small, unassuming camera. And 21 millimeters, again, it is wide, so it does mean you gotta get close or you gotta get creative. But I tend to like that, so it's how I roll. The 21mm f4 also has a chunky depth of field, a very thick depth. And this means a couple things for street photography, at least the way I shoot. It's very good for rapid focusing. You can basically zone focus this thing by estimating, again, since the depth is very chunky. And you get pretty good at it with just a little bit of practice. And again, since the lens is quite wide, you can fit a lot of things into the shot, and you can point it indirectly at people and get fairly close, and they might not react. So, good times all around. So, in short, when I do walk around with this combo, I get in quite close, eye zone focus, and I tend to shoot from the hip or shoot from my chest when I'm wearing the neck strap. And it allows for some interesting angles. So overall, it gives you like kind of a different way to compose, and instead of getting always an eye level photo, you get something lower, a little more dramatic, kind of neat. And when I do shoot it, I tend to just set it at f8 to get a very thick depth, and I try to get as close as like 1.5 to 2 meters from the subject, so I'll just toss the focus throw or focus ring to around, somewhere between there and start shooting. Sometimes if I am feeling closer, I'll go down to maybe 1 meter and just shoot. And, I think the shots turn out fairly good. They're not always composed with straight lines directly across the frame. You get a lot of janky Dutch angles. But either way, I had a lot of fun doing shooting this way and learning how to frame up and compose in this style. But, I'll let you be the judge of whether or not my photos are any good in the gallery up next. So that's all I really got for this photo. All in all, this combo, again, it's my favorite street walk around kit. Do you enjoy street photography? And if so, what is your go-to combo? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Till next time, bye.